Hello, good evening. I'm just waiting for Mariah to hop on here. We've been trying to figure out the events for a few weeks now, so we're hoping that we got it together this week. We appreciate your patience. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, there we go. I think we're here. There we go. Yay!
Yay!
Got it. Okay.
First official event on the page. That's awesome.
I know, we're so excited. We've been trying to figure out how to go live from MR2 Connections page for quite some time, so we're super excited. We are very aware of the technical difficulties that we've been experiencing in the last several weeks, and we do apologize, and we appreciate your patience so much. We really love and appreciate the feedback, too. We really need it, and it's helped so much in our ability to be able to navigate through the technical challenges that we've been experiencing. So please let us know if the audio is any better this week, because we really want to provide the best possible. And we're so excited to continue to share our mission with you. And thank you so much for being patient with us as we continue to grow and evolve with Monumental Minds. Welcome back to Monumental Minds, where every mind matters. I'm Megan Rose.
And I'm Mariah Raye, and we're the co-owners and founders of MR2 Connections Incorporated. We're so excited to be here with you this week. We're wrapping up actually our trauma series, The Trauma is Real. We started out with Megan sharing a little bit of her story and some of the traumas that she's experienced, and we went to some of mine. Just last week, we had Sarah Beth Wald share her story, and she is a trauma and boundaries coach. So that was really eye-opening. And if you didn't catch that episode, it is on our YouTube. So check us out on YouTube. We are trying to grow drastically there. And so this week, we kind of just want to really let you know kind of our takeaways from the whole entire series and some of the things that we've learned and studied throughout the week and what we've been able to incorporate. So Megan, take us with your biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much. It's really never ending when it comes to trauma, and there's, like we've talked about in depth. There's no right or wrong way when it comes to trauma. We all experience it differently, and we all have different vantage points and perspectives. And it was really cool to have Sarah come on and share her perspective with it, because as she had shared previously, she utilizes therapy a lot, and it's always been great. I'm a big advocate for that. It's so important, and especially to find the right people to talk to. But for her, specifically in her journey, in dealing with the trauma and healing process, there was not really a program that fit or suit her. And it was really cool to find that she created her own way. And she talked about boundaries, which is a big deal in coming with traumas. And that's something that, like, I realized that on a subconscious level, even I created boundaries in relationships in my life that I was not even really aware of. But, on a subconscious level, I'm like, hey, the energy's not matching up here. It just doesn't feel right. Okay, I need to have some sort of barrier of protection. So it was cool to see her perspective on that. And then talking about really getting to know your wounded self, and working with them and healing with them. And we did a lot of studying this week, and Mariah will touch on a little bit about the reparenting almost, and going back and connecting with yourself as you were in those moments of trauma. Because who you are today is not necessarily who you were back then. And so oftentimes we will neglect ourselves or beat ourselves down. We won't treat ourselves the way we would treat a best friend or a child or a mother or grandma, whoever who is close to you in your life that is going through or experiencing some sort of trauma or difficulty or challenge or trial in their life. We're really the last persons that we'll go to and for comfort. And so that was my big takeaway. And that's really what we worked on this week, and being aware. Because that's really a big part of healing. It's just being aware of the triggers and being aware of those moments and what you're feeling and what it is it bringing you back to, and just not being overwhelmed by those moments, but accepting it and being able to move forward and healing and navigating through those emotions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think one of my biggest takeaways from having Sarah on the show, which was such an honor and a blessing, so thank you, Sarah. But I think one of the questions that's always been sitting with me is, will it ever go away? Like the actual trauma, right? Not the experience, because I would never want that to go away, and I don't truly feel like it would ever go away. But like some of these things that we face, or some of like these triggering moments, or like PTSD type moments that have come from the traumas in our life, it's always kind of lingered with me. Like, am I always going to have to deal with those? Is it always going to maybe be as intense or as triggering as it is? And I think it gave me a lot of clarity for her to just say, like, yes, it will always be there, because no matter what that moment or that event happened to you, but it's truly kind of how you move on and how you choose to, the power you give to it. So I think, things are more triggering when it's a little bit closer to the event that happened. But I think some things are still triggering, and I kind of wish they would go away, but I just need to learn really how to cope with it when it happens. And I need to learn how to do that better. But just getting clarity that it will always be there can at least give me the opportunity, and kind of like let me give myself permission to say, okay, you got to work on this, because it's going to be here forever. Not just sit there and linger in that feeling or in that trauma and then almost feel like you are that trauma, and you're never going to get over it. It really helped me bring it down to something that I could really understand and finally accept. So that was a huge takeaway for me.
And that's so important, to really allow yourself to heal and just really know that it's okay to feel the way you're feeling. It's completely normal too. I feel like in so many moments of the traumas that I experienced, I was like, you're crazy. And I didn't respect the emotions that I was having. I really didn't even accept or allow myself to heal through the experiences that I went through. And it's self-deprecating. And there's so much comparison that comes. There's just so much that feeds into those moments. But really allowing yourself to experience that and be okay with that, and coddle yourself like you would a child. It's okay to coddle yourself. We need those moments of comfort. We need those moments of being like, this hurts, and that's normal, and that's okay. So how are we going to move forward from here? How are we going to navigate through these emotions? How is it going to serve us best?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the questions that kind of always sits on my mind as we start to get busier and, our growth and things get larger. And I'm like, okay, but I have been through all these things, and I've kind of always lived in that, right? And I'm like, how am I going to be able to manage all this growth? And when we have a talk show every week, we're doing all these things, right, that we manifest and dream up together. And I get concerned sometimes of like, okay, but what about when something is triggering, or, when this trauma comes back? And I think it's just going to take a lot of conscious work in ourselves, but also as a team. And I think you do have to find that, right? You do have to find that person that can double check you and like make sure that you're working through your traumas and stuff, especially somebody that you're trying to grow with. And I think we're just gonna have to like keep ourselves in check, right? But it's not to say that people that have been through trauma can't do big things. And I think that I always felt like since I've been through so many things, where I'm such a traumatized soul, right? Like that's, I don't know why that's one of my favorites, but I'm like, yeah, I'm just this traumatized soul. Like sometimes you separate yourself from like the successful people and the people that have been through a lot. So I think it has allowed me too to kind of say, you know what? No, even those people have been through a lot. There's just a lot of different ways that we can really help ourselves and like hold ourselves through some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's just it really man, it's hard. It's hard because it's so easy to compare yourself to others. But then I really try to take a step back and realize that, oh my gosh, like even I always bring up Kelly Clarkson. I just absolutely love her, but she's constantly bringing up the fact that she's in therapy, and that is such a cool thing. And Ariana Grande, with the trauma that she went through, and all the people close to her, and Mac Miller, when his death came as such a tragedy, and the way that they're able to kind of heal from that, and they're very open about therapy and taking the actions that they need to heal within themselves through that, while still celebrating the life that was lost. And it's so hard sometimes to compare, because it's like, oh, well, dang, they're doing so good through that, and I'm just kind of like, I'm stuck here. And
Yeah.
I get like, I myself get like stuck in those knit modes. Just like, there's no getting out. But yeah, it's really, for me, refocusing and celebrating the lives versus really focusing on what was really lost, because there's no getting over that. There's just no getting over that in any sense, and in any trauma, and it's something that you kind of work through and strengthen from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when I was like doing some of the student work throughout the week and stuff, and trying to just dig more a little more into this wounded self or wounded child, and what advice we can give to people and what we can do in our own lives to kind of check and balance our own traumas and our healing of our traumas. And there was a few really good ones that I found. So I'm going to just go through some of those so that we can share those, and hopefully some of those will work for us and some of them will work for some of our listeners. So one says, apologize to yourself. And I think we've talked some about that on our show, or like the celebrating yourself, but also giving yourself a little bit of grace. We've talked about too. 2 is remind yourself how wonderful you are. 3 is censor your inner critic, which I really like too. Like, you have to talk back to that inner critic, You can't let it overrun yourself, because that's been a huge thing for me. I know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think, whether you admit it or not, y'all who deny
Yeah.
it, you're lying. Because I know you
Right.
criticize yourself
Exactly.
worse than anybody else would. And like, there's not one moment where I don't walk into the mirror and I'm like, ooh, well, ew, or like, I could fix this, or this could be better. And you have to retrain your thoughts and be like, well, my eyes are magical.
Right.
And like
Yes.
focus and
Yes.
retrain, and like fine, like I do have those magic eyes. They're magical, they're mystical.
Yes,
And
girl.
like
Mm-hmm.
celebrating yourself, celebrating your accomplishments, and like I've been, because I'm chasing those feel goods. I want to feel good. It's not about being skinny. It's about feeling good. And I've been, me and Mariah both have been on like a health kick, and really more conscious about consistently being active. I lost 7 pounds. She lost 12 and a half pounds. And
Yes.
it's not about looking a certain way, but it's obtaining that confidence and allowing yourself to celebrate those moments and really enjoying feeling good and being healthy. And it's self-love, and it's just so awesome. Self-love breeds confidence. So if you don't have that confidence in
Yeah.
yourself, taking the time to take care of yourself and kind of talk, like I like had to do the fake it till you make it for a long time because I just did
Hmm.
not believe it. And I'd be like, you are beautiful, you are worthy. Like if you have to kind of, I don't want to say lie to yourself because it is true, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you matter. But if you have to kind of trick your mind into believing it, then you'll start acting a different way and you'll start feeling a different way. And then you're manifesting all these positive things into your life. It's a chain reaction. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it truly is. What we say to ourselves is truly what we start doing, right? So it's so important the way we talk to ourselves. And like know that if you don't have the confidence and you don't have all these things yet, like it doesn't happen overnight. Like everybody, it's never too late to like start learning these habits, to learn how to love yourself and forgive yourself and celebrate yourself. So if you don't have it now, please know that like it did not happen anytime get in them quick for either of us. It's always been a work in
Right.
progress. And it's really like those small habits
30 years
every
of
day.
progress, okay?
Yeah.
30 years of
I mean, and
progress.
nothing's perfect about it yet either, right? Like nothing's perfect. We are truly learning like week to week, talk show, like episode to episode, truly like learning every week. And even as we talk things out. So it really is a work in progress. So if you're not there yet, like who is really, who's there and who's to say where the destination is, right? But like to get true happiness and to be okay and to show up for yourself every day and to give yourself grace and to be able to celebrate and apologize and when you didn't do something right, like I think that's the true piece. That's where you want to get. And what's some of the other stuff? So find a safe place was another one. Remind yourself it's not your fault, right? Like a lot of the things we do in reaction to things that have happened to ourselves, we are not, it's not always our fault. We go into
Right.
survival mode and we go into certain things like that, and that causes us to make a certain action. It is not our fault, and we are not bad people.
Right. And it's so important to really reflect on those moments and to appreciate the things that you have control of and take control of those things because so oftentimes we don't, and we allow other circumstances or people to take control of the things that we can't. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, it is so important to let go of the things that you have absolutely no control of. And to know the difference is very hard sometimes because there's so many things that you just don't want to let go of. And a lot of that stems from fear. And just really just taking the time to, whether it's meditating or just stepping outside of the event or circumstance or whatever it may be, to really know the difference of what you can control and what's outside of your control, because that's going to make a world of difference in what you manifest into your life.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely. There's a few more. It says write a letter to your younger child. And I did do this. I got to do this in the Ultimate Journey, and I didn't really realize how much of a difference it would make. Hi, Tutor. Hi,
Who
buddy.
wants the spotlight?
Yes, he does. He's like, I'll get right there in the camera just for everybody. He's like, I know you're gonna talk about me later. I just wanted to let everybody see.
Right?
Um,
Feels it coming.
but yeah, so when we did like the inner child work and truly writing a letter to your younger self, it was like some of the most healing work I've done, to be honest. Because it really lets you put it on paper, which for me, that's huge. So like put it on paper to make sure that I'm like really working through it. And just being able, I don't know, that perspective of writing from your older self and your more mature self, right, to that younger child and saying like, I don't blame you. None of this was your fault. I will protect you now. I understand now. And just doing all that work. Like, it was some of the coolest work I've ever done. Have you ever done anything like that? Like writing a letter to the younger self?
I need to do that. So what I really did this
Yes.
week, because I tendency to fall in and out of the journaling, which is a part of
Yeah.
my one mindness training, and kind of getting back to that. But I
Yeah.
really made it a point this week, especially after talking to Sarah Beth, to talk to myself in a manner
Yeah.
that I would be speaking to that inner child, right? So versus writing a letter to that inner child, I made sure that those kids are lingering, okay? They're not going away. So if
Yeah.
I'm looking in the mirror and I start hating, I'm like, listen, child, you are a child of God. You are beautiful.
Right.
You are perfectly made. And I make it a point to talk to myself as if it like I'm my own parent, right? So it's you brought up the reparenting briefly, and it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to discredit especially for my grandparents. They're just so wonderful, and I was so blessed to have them. And but there was like my parents really couldn't be parents as I was growing up, and there was just a lot of stigma around body weight and what you should look like, and you have to have a man, you have to have a partner, whatever, whatever. So getting past that, I have to like retrain myself, like this is not what it is, and you are
Mm-hmm.
independent, you are successful, you are magical, you're like, and just consistent in every moment, even in those moments of failure, like, hey, you messed up. You made a boo-boo, but what did you learn?
Yeah.
Hey, you learned that preparation is key in this situation. You weren't prepared, so let's do it differently this time. And just really kind of being gentle, but what's the word I'm looking for? Not assertive. Um, I don't know. Just kind of like retraining yourself to not beat yourself
Yeah.
down, but to accept it for what it is. It's a learning experience, and there's perfection is just not always attainable. But to,
Mm-mm.
continue to strive and continue moving forward and take it for what it
Right.
is.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. Um, that's kind of, well, too, that kind of goes into number 7. Is it says visualize, and then 8 says remember it takes time. Um, so if we can kind of visualize in that younger self, and just remember where we are, to kind of connect with some of those feelings. Because sometimes I think the black for me is like there's so much going on, right? Like as adults, we forget to slow down and like process things, right? Because life goes so fast. We're working, we're doing a million different things. We, run a business, we have our other jobs, like we do all the things, right? I'm a mom, you're a fur mom. We have all the things happen, right? Sisters, brothers, all the things you have to be in life. And then you still have to remind yourself that the most important thing to take time for is yourself. As selfish as that sounds,
Right.
as and I think a lot of people think that it's selfish, but like you can give more to all those
And
titles
that's
of
another
yourself.
stigma. I have to comment on that
Mm-hmm.
because that's such a stigma to say that taking care of yourself is selfish. It's honestly the
Mm-hmm.
least selfish thing you can do. If you don't take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
who the hell else can you take care of? Let's get real. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to touch on that.
No, yeah, and like so many people believe that, and the people have to stop that, because the more you can care about yourself, the more you can care about others, and that's just it. It's like the don't pour from an empty cup. It's like that same concept, right? And if you gotta fill your own cup first. And like the whole oxygen mask thing, it's always a thing to think, oh, I gotta put an oxygen mask on my daughter first, or I gotta put it on my grandparent first, or my parent first. Like, no, you gotta put it on yourself so that you can help them.
Right,
Like, light bulb moment the
right,
day I thought of
exactly.
that the opposite way, you know?
Right. And that's the best analogy too, because really, like, if you're putting oxygen on everybody else, if you run out of breath, then who the hell can you save if you're dead? Like, come on, let's get real. And even the airplanes teach us that, y'all. Take care of yourself first.
Right. But it's always everybody's first thing to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it on my kid, you goof. You know, like, no, because you're not going to be breathing. You can't. It's so crazy. It is. It just takes, like we say, like retraining our brains, and just slowing down and giving yourself enough time, not feeling selfish, truly using that as time to invest in yourself, but then it also invests in everybody else that's in your life and around you in your circle, truly.
Because that energy just radiates.
Mm-hmm. Truly, 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 truly. So tell us, like, okay, let's go on from that. And those are some of the ways, and we can bring some of those back up towards the end. But talk to us about like some of the self-image work a little bit more that you've been doing this week. And like, so when you get stuck in an actual thought, walk us through that.
It's so dang hard, because for me it was different, and like it's just it's different now, with media and the way it is. It's media is much more accepting in different body shapes, and that's how it should be. But it wasn't growing up in the 90s. It just wasn't. It was skinny or
Right.
nothing. And I was very tall. I'm now I'm like being towered over by these kids, and I'm just like, dang, this is so different. But I was always the tallest, and I was like, I should have been like grades ahead based on my size. So it was just something I always battled with internally. And then you would go back home, and God bless my grandma, I just love her so much, but she grew up in a time where you had to be fit, and
Yeah.
it just was what it was. And even my mother, felt the same way, in the way she was like, you have to be skinny, you have to find a good man, you have to dress a certain way, whatever, whatever. And yeah, I was always thicker. I was very muscular, big boned. But they would like force feed me like diet pills. My mother would give me diet pills
Mm-hmm.
that had been taken off the market, recalled, like killing people. And I'm 13 years old, taking diet pills twice a day. So it was just really hard. And by the time we kind of phased out of that through the custody battle, like her energies had focused on different things, and it wasn't the primary focus. But I was 14, 15, 16, vomiting every time I would eat because I was just too scared. Or like I would choose not to eat and just chug V8 because I was still getting vitamins. But trying to be skinny,
Yes,
and I
girl.
was like a size 4
Yeah.
and 5'9".
Wow.
Like I 5'9" at that I wasn't healthy, and it would just it was so hard. And for me now, I just really have to be consciously aware. Hey, it's not about your size. It's about your
Right.
health. Are you healthy? Do you feel good? And there's weight that we're trying to pull off now. We've been working together with that, and it feels good, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
in a like a demeaning sense. And I would like bring myself down so much and just beat myself up so much. And it's just, I mean, I wouldn't talk to anybody else that way, so why the hell am I talking to myself that way? Like, really?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of retraining the program and how I talk to myself, and just giving myself the
Right.
confidence and knowing, hey, I am capable, and I am able and capable, and I am going to, reach my goals. I'm going to be healthy the way I want to be, whatever it is, and just filtering through. And I'm like, hey, I'm not living in those moments anymore. This isn't 1998, like we're
Right.
decades ahead. It's a new time, and it's a new change, and it's time to be an advocate for that. And I absolutely like love Khloe Kardashian for what she's done with Good American. I think it's the coolest thing, with really celebrating women for every single shape and size, because we are beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're healthy and you feel good, I don't care what you look like and what size you are. The rock it, girl. That's what it comes to, is confidence and loving yourself.
Yeah, truly. And I know we talked about that this weekend as well, because we kind of hit a soft spot, because my daughter is the tallest girl in her class, and she is thick, I guess thicker, if if that's a thing at that age. I don't know. So, and she's
It
already getting
is.
bullied in
And
first
it
grade. It
broke my heart.
hasn't started. Yeah, it hasn't even started just in first grade. It's been even before that. But now it's to a point where kids are vocalizing, you know, oh, you're too big or too tall to play with, and like she gets home with this information, and you know, and I can tell because she's a confident girl and she can hold her own. And so when she starts talking soft, or you know, she starts looking in the mirror saying she doesn't want to wear certain things that throw it, you know, I'm like, what? You don't want to what? You don't want to rock that? You
Yeah.
rock that all the time. And then, like, you know, soon
And
enough
she
you
looked
get the, you
absolutely
know,
gorgeous yesterday at their birthday party.
right, she's getting
She
it
looks
back.
fabulous.
She's getting
She's a beautiful girl.
it. But it's just crazy how it
But
starts
that's great.
so early on, you know, and I mean, it started early on for yourself too. And I just, and to think that it's still happening and we've come that far, like that, I think that's the scary part for me. And if it starts this early, what's it going to get like? So like building that tough skin and teaching not only ourselves, I mean, more importantly, like teach yourself so you can teach your children, right? And in the people around you and in your community to talk nice to themselves, because the world is still cruel. There's still people that are being cruel and bullying, whether it be that their insecurities, which is mostly what I think it is, or things that they hurt, which is why they're being mean. So I think there's a lot of healing that needs to happen there too. But at the end of the day, kids say cruel things, and very early on. So we got to teach our kids and our community and our young community to start talking nice to themselves early on, because it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, this body shaming is coming from somewhere. And since when is being too tall a thing to be able to play games? That's just obscene in my opinion. I just can't stand it. It sickens my heart. And the bullying and the shaming, it starts at a young age, and we need to really make sure that we're educating children in an appropriate manner. And I was just shocked when you told me this, really, because I thought, based on what we see in the media, you know, we are progressing. Yes, we are progressing. But at the same time, I was like, this is still happening? Like, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's sad, and it's really sad. And she's just such a beautiful, beautiful young woman. And it's amazing that she has a mother like you who's teaching her the confidence and really being able to kind of rise above that. But at 7 years old, that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah. And it stinks because, like, I have a niece as well, and I know that it's happening in other school districts as well, and as early as first grade and in other cities and things. And so, as much as we are making progress, there's still so much work to be done. And on specific topics, you know, body shaming and bullying, and there's so much. And then, like, if we don't want to go to the body shaming, then let's teach body positivity then. Okay? So like let's combat it in some
Right.
way and teach body positivity no matter what size you are or what height you are. And just loving your body for
I
every
mean, I'm
curve and
sorry.
every wrinkle.
Last time I checked, to be a runway model, you have to be 5'9" plus. Okay.
Right.
What's wrong with tall? Tall is beautiful. Tyra Banks is what, 5'10", 5'11"? Come on, people.
Mm-hmm.
Tall is beautiful.
It's, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah, and like the talk on some of the reparenting stuff that hit with me too. So I think you do kind of have to learn how to do that, because you have to learn how to reparent yourself as an adult. You know, like you get parented as a child, but as we have traumas and things like that, a lot of us, I'd say actually probably the majority of us, get into adulthood as more of an adult child because we still have a lot to learn and a lot of things happen, and here we are as an adult, and we need to truly reparent ourselves and reteach ourselves and relearn a lot of things. um, and I give it all up to the parents as well, because it's hard to parent a child who's going through all of these things, who that, like, you don't even have a great hold on them yourself, if you're going to be truly honest with yourself. But I think that's where learning to spend the time on yourself, because it will give back to everyone in your circle. And if you can teach it to your kids can teach it to their friends. And that's where we're going to see the change. in our community and in future generations. So if you've been through stuff, if you're not there yet, that is totally fine, but we have to do something. So like, let's all get there, teach ourselves, teach the children and the younger generation so that we can truly see a difference. Because it's happened to both of us as we were younger, and it's now happening to my child who's 7, and like I said, it happened earlier than that. So we really got to make a change in that. We'll have to do some brainstorming.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's so important and so necessary, and I love the idea of reparenting. I mean, even if you have the best parents in the world, this is 20 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and things change, and society changes.
Yeah.
I mean, even just with technology the way it is, you're exposed to so much,
There's
and
cyberbullying now.
regardless of who raised you, you have to teach yourself and coach yourself, and take care of yourself and heal in the necessary ways that we evolve.
Yeah. And I mean, there's even so many more types of bullying now. Like now that we have social media, we have cyberbullying. Well, that's a whole new thing that our parents and past generations are like, what? Cyberbullying? What? Your information, your picture leaked, you know, that to millions of people in 2 minutes. Like, and then parents that are in these past generations don't even know how to handle these situations. And we can't really hold any guilt on them for it because they never had to deal with that. So everyone has to be able to be in a learning mode, because it's continual learning, continuing education on these topics that's going to make like that awesome waterfall change in the future.
Right. Like if you told me about trolls when I was 10, I would have been thinking you were talking about the labyrinth, okay? Like trolls.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
okay. And it was crazy because I never really, I had very close followers and I think they were the most positive people. And like, what are these trolls you speak of? And that was my first instinct was like, Trolls to Toys or the movie or the Labyrinth. I'm like not thinking of like literal nasty little souls on social media bullying people, and it's like it's just a totally different thing. And I think I've personally been really good about filtering it out and being able to catch it quickly because I just have a zero tolerance for negativity, really. I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a right to their own opinion. But opinion is one thing. You can be opinionated and have one standpoint or viewpoint. You can see things differently, but you don't have to be nasty about it. So there's a big difference. And I'm all about open
Right.
discussion. I love learning people's beliefs and viewpoints and vantage points and whatever, but don't be
Well,
nasty,
and
y'all.
I think it takes like a certain point for you to get to like a certain point of maturity, right? To be able to be in this learning mode, to be able to hear other people's opinions, or perspectives and respect them for that, right? Like I respect people for different points of views because everybody has come from different things. Your points of view are made and molded as you grow. But I think the important thing is if we can respect listening to other people's point of views and they can also reciprocate that with us. What if somebody's point of view, whoever it may be, can then change the other? But either way, you were going to be respected and you were going to be heard, and that was your common ground.
Right. Absolutely. And everybody has the right to be heard. Everybody's voices and story matters. And we all experience trials and trauma and challenges in our life, just like everybody else. They may be colored differently, but we all experienced hardship and heartache. And that's really one of the most universal things that we have in common is that we share that. And that's why it's so important. And that's why we're so passionate about advocating for mental health and advocating for people's voices to be heard because we are all in this together. There's not one person that really truly differs, like yes, we have different stories, but we all face it. And we all feel it and we all hurt, but we all experience joy and success and victory. And we want to be able to elevate and lift people up from those and really celebrate the victories and testimonies.
Yeah. And we're really lucky to have had a lot of variety of people talk here on Monumental Minds as far as stories and what they are and where they are today and their journeys. But I don't want that to ever discourage anybody. We want to hear everyone's story, no matter what it looks like. It doesn't have to look like our last speaker. You don't have to be some kind of a coach. We want to hear what you've been through, what your story is. So I just never want you to ever compare your story to somebody else's story or feel like, okay, your version of that situation wasn't as extreme, so it's not as important. Like, we want to hear every story, and no matter what intensity of event happened in your life, it is still important and it still needs to be heard, and somebody else still needs to hear your story.
Absolutely. I know I've said it countless times in those moments where I really felt like I didn't have anybody else. It was the stories that other people shared with me that really gave me hope. And there's so much hope in your victories and the things that you've been able to overcome and the challenges that you
Mm-hmm.
experience. And we are never alone. We are never alone. And now more than ever do we really need to unite on a global front. There's just so much going on, and it's just crazy. I was one to always never watch the news, but I just made it a point to educate myself and keep myself aware of what's going on in the world. And we need each other. We need each other so much. And we are so passionate and so blessed to have this platform to share with you. And we are so grateful for your support and the love that you've shown. So please, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't already, please follow us on our YouTube channel, MR2 Connections Incorporated. If you've missed our episodes before, we've got all of our episodes of Monumental Minds on all of our YouTube channels. We've got so much more to come and so much that we want to advocate for. We want to hear your voice. We want to know your story. We want to know the things that you are passionate about and care for. So please do not hesitate to send us a direct message on either of our personal pages or on our MR2 Connections page. Please like and share. We love you and we need you. We've grown so fast. What are we? We're like over 120,000 views now on TikTok alone.
Yeah. I was just telling you how in the beginning, I was writing in my high five journal and I was like, yeah, 25K views, we're going to do it. And then now we're like over 100K views. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's happening, So like no amount of growth or like always celebrate yourself. Cause like, I'm sitting here wishing for 25K and like here we are not even a year in like fully growing and like we're already at over 100K. Like and it's so something to celebrate. Everything is everybody's story. We appreciate every bit of it. I actually we've gotten a Google Doc, I think, together. So if you want to speak on the show, we have a little thing where you can actually be able to put it in your information. And then that way you can just fill out the little application type thing so that we can reach out to you. Sometimes with all this major growth, our inboxes get like crowded with a million messages. So I just wanted to make sure that we had something that we would make sure that we can check for and that we can kind of filter out so we're not missing anybody's opportunity to share with us on Monumental Minds. And just let us know what dates and stuff work for you. We can work with you, and we just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance really to get heard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. It's one of the biggest parts of our mission. And again, we just love and appreciate you. I believe next week, for the first time, we'll be doing Monumental Minds live from TikTok. What? Mind blown.
But
We haven't quite figured out Streamlabs yet. Once we figure out Streamlabs, we'll be live everywhere, which is the ultimate goal, right? But we're going to give it a shot on TikTok. We have so many followers on TikTok. And not that we're not blessed to have you guys. We've got a couple thousand followers here on Facebook, and we just love and adore you. We're just shy of about 1,500 followers on Instagram. We get like 12,000 followers on TikTok. So we want to show some love and attention there as far as the lives go. We are continuing to work out and plan some creation days so we can be live and creating for you. We've got some really great ideas of products and creations that we can make to advocate for different causes. So make sure that you check out our Etsy page. It's etsy.com/shop/MR2 Connections Inc. 10% of everything is donated to mental health and suicide prevention. An additional 5% is donated to the charity, support group, and cause of your choice. Because like we have mentioned so many times, your voice is so important. It matters. Your passions matter. And we want to know what they are. So thank you again for the love and support. We'll be back here next Saturday. Or no, wait, TikTok. TikTok will be on TikTok.
Yeah.
Saturday at 6 p.m.
Quick note though. Yeah. Quick note though, if
Okay.
you don't have TikTok, we will be putting all the video, like recorded videos, we should still be getting them to our YouTube, correct? Even
Yes,
if we do them on
YouTube,
TikTok?
MR2 Connections. We need the love.
Yes.
Subscribe,
Yeah,
y'all.
Yes. So go to YouTube, MR2 Connections Incorporated. So even after we have our show, Saturday, 6 p.m. Central on TikTok, we will be recording it and getting it uploaded. So check out the business YouTube, MR2 Connections Incorporated, and you can still see the show there. So even if you don't have a TikTok, you will not miss out on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we'll keep you posted here on Facebook and on Instagram as always. We'll make the announcements and we'll post the links for our YouTube channel as well. It's pretty easy, actually. I was shocked. I Googled us and we're famous, y'all. Okay, Google us. You'll find all our YouTube channels. You'll find our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook. We are so excited and so thrilled to see how fast we've been growing. So we'll see you next Saturday at 6 p.m. Central. And until then, you keep those good vibes spreading.